Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing out there in Final Cut TV land? Excellent. Excellent. It's a typical winter day here on the East Coast of the good old USA. We got about 36 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what we got. So this week I made a DCP for the first time. I tried two different DCP makers. One was DaVinci Resolve, which I don't know enough about it. It's much more complex than the solution that I used. I used DCP-O-Matic, which is an open source DCP maker, and it worked out fine, except for one little issue one issue that as far as confirming that the DCP was working properly. I tried DaVinci Resolve and, there's a couple of things that went on. But anyway, let's see if there's any Final Cut Pro news. I don't think there's any Final Cut Pro news this week. It's like radio silence. Radio silence. First comments, morning from freezing Georgia, coffee brewing. What's the temperature there, Brett? I'm 36. 36. I know Buddy says DCP equals. DCP stands for Digital Cinema Package, which if you're showing your film in a theater, they all require that nowadays. They require a digital cinema package. I don't know the technical aspects of it, but you feed it a ProRes, high quality ProRes file, and it spits out another folder with the name that you choose, with a bunch of metadata and XML files and all kind of stuff in it, and you can't mess with that. And that's the actual digital cinema package. Now, when I was going back and forth with my friend Bradley Olson, he was talking about using DaVinci Resolve, and he said he'd walk me through because there's a lot of gotchas. Boy, there's a lot of gotchas. When I went into the digital cinema package creation in DaVinci Resolve, first off, I don't know any. I looked for videos, and it's a bit of a mess to create a DCP. It's much more complex in DaVinci Resolve. There's lots and lots and lots of options. But DCP-O-Matic worked really well for us. Actually warming up now, 46, but lows, 20s overnights. We're in the teens overnight. We're in the teens overnight. I have the wood-burning stove going probably about 16 hours a day. I turn it off overnight and just put a couple of space heaters at 65. And that seems to work pretty well. But as far as Final Cut Pro news, unless you have something with Final Cut Pro related news, I don't have anything. 11.0.1 came out. I did put out a new episode of Final Cut Pro Radio, that's a podcast, the audio podcast. And we've got over 2 million downloads of the audio podcasts that I've been doing. I'm slowing down a little bit on podcasting because I just don't have the time, and there's not a lot of Final Cut Pro news, not unless something happens around NAB or around the Creative Summit. It's pretty dead news-wise. So we got 11.0.1, of course, which is a bug fix. It took them almost 90 days to get 11.0.1. which we appreciate. Don't get me wrong, we certainly appreciate that they came out. We're not sure why 4 bug fixes took 90 days, but it did. Let me just check on something here. Well, here we got our backyard, of course. Backyard view, we did not get the snow that they were predicting earlier in the week last week. So there's 0. I think I have one little patch of snow somewhere. Out front where the sun doesn't hit it. But there's not a whole lot of Final Cut Pro news. If you have any Final Cut Pro news, Final Cut Pro issues, go ahead and shout them out in the comments on YouTube or on Facebook Live or on the X platform, which we're streaming to all three right now. And we're going to talk, well, first off, there's a couple of things. Let me just, let me see here. Let's pull this up. That's going away. And we are going to put up this. This is my current YouTube views, 603,077 views on YouTube. Most of those are within the last couple of years, which is pretty cool. 603,000 views on YouTube. I mean, that's nothing compared to the giants that get millions of views. But for me, it's pretty cool. 603,077 views is pretty darn cool. I like it. We'll be up to 1 million views sometime shortly. Pixelmator Pro acquisition has seemingly gone through less than a week ago. I did not update to the Apple version of Pixelmator Pro. From what I saw, the only benefit was a splash screen that says, hey, Apple now owns Pixelmator Pro. Well, if there's no benefit, why should I update? Everything's working fine the way it is. I did see that they finished the acquisition or whatever. Does anybody have any secrets about Pixelmator Pro in Apple? Are they going to keep it as Pixelmator Pro? I doubt it. I bet you they changed the name. Maybe to Photos Pro or something else. Are they going to keep it as a standalone app? That would be fine. I've paid for it once. I'm not paying a subscription for it, that's for sure. That is for sure. What else do we have going on here? Our friend iKnowBuddy on the X platform. I've been generating SRT captions for YouTube videos. I have to export and render of at least an audio file to get Final Cut Pro to generate an SRT. At least exporting audio is faster than video for just the SRT. Yeah, the Caption, Transcribe to Caption feature in Final Cut, they have no way of exporting a text file, no way of exporting a time-stamped text file that I would need for things. So we'll see how that continues to evolve. I'm kind of surprised. Well, I expect that is not the end of transcribing audio in Final Cut. By the way, last week I talked about my glasses, and these are not my computer glasses. Things are a little bit blurry. These are focusing at about 2 feet, but my computer monitor's at 3 feet. Just a little bit blurry. But when I walked into the Eyeglass place and I said, hey, this one lens doesn't have the anti-reflective coating. Well, the technician at the desk took it and she says, you're absolutely right, it does not. It didn't have the anti-reflective coating going on. So it's back in the lab again. As I complained to the company online about this situation, about this I said, the lab has had these glasses more than I've had them since the end of December. This is very poor quality control that they would do one lens with anti-reflective coating and not the other. How does that even happen? Our friend Sean Beckner, good morning. Good morning, Sean. How you doing? I have no idea how that would even happen, but it did. So they're back in the lab, and I'll get my computer distance glasses hopefully this week. If not this week, no later than next week. It's ridiculous. Very, very poor quality control, and I did complain to them. And I told them it's not my local store. I said, it's not my local store. Those people there are great. It's whatever lab my local store sent these lenses to get them replaced. First, they scratched one of the lenses when they were installing it. And the day I was supposed to get the glasses back, they said, oh, it's going to be another 2 weeks because the lab scratched the lens. That was the first thing. Then I got them back, and I'm seeing this reflection in this lens. No, it was this lens. This lens. I forget what lens it was. This lens. This one. And only in one lens. My computer monitor was completely obliterating the view of my eye. So figured out it was the glasses. My guess is it will remain as standalone app. Photomator has 3 pricing options, one-time buy-up, monthly and yearly, and not sure if that's new. Photomator, I don't know. I didn't get Photomator. I've had Pixelmator as a standalone app from the App Store for years, and I use it all the time. I use it all the time. I suspect, but don't you think that they'll change the name from Pixelmator Pro to something else? They might add a few features. Why did they want it? That's my question. Why do they want Pixelmator Pro and not develop an app of their own? I guess they just like Pixelmator Pro. They like what it is. Not too windy today. I don't know if this week it's going to be in the 40s and the 50s in the afternoon, so I don't think we're going to see any more snow. Well, at this point, I hope not. I don't want any more snow this year. I do not want any more snow this year. That's a fact. Now, a week from Sunday, my film was being shown at Greenbelt Cinema Theater in Greenbelt, Maryland. A week from Sunday, 3 p.m. it's going to be there. We're going to show it. That's what I made the DCP for. They required a DCP package or a Blu-ray. We got both. One is a backup. But it was a process, let me tell you. So what I was using, like I said, Brad was going to help me with Resolve, but when I did one in Resolve, I didn't like the way it looked, so I had some kind of a setting wrong or whatever. It was a little blocky and pixelated and stuff, and I had the data rate at 240. I think the max was 250. So it wasn't that. It was some other weird setting that I didn't have, or 2 settings, but I didn't have time to go through that. And I went online, looked on YouTube videos, and they're confusing. They're just, it was a mess. So I used DCP-O-Matic is what I used, and it turned out fine with the exception of one thing. There was one thing, there was a problem. So this is DCP-O-Matic, and it's pretty simple, and it's free if you don't want to pay. If you don't want to pay anything, let me see if I can play this. Yeah, this is our documentary that's could be shown this weekend. I don't want to play that now, but so there's a couple of settings. A couple of settings you should know about. This is the DCP package. This is their name that they use it. I'm not sure why it's so complex, but it is. So one of the things you want to make sure it's a DCP flat, 1920 by 1080, resolution 2K, not 4K frames per second. I converted it to 30 frames per second because DCP-O-Matic does not have 2997. So I converted my, let me see, cam link. There we go. So I converted the timeline from 2997 to 30. So it matched up. It's not that complicated here. Let me see what the audio is. Same as DCP. Video audio is, let me see, audio is, for some reason, you got to do 6 channels, 5.1. Stereo wasn't working. It only plays back stereo, even if you have 6.5, but 6.5 seems to be more compatible. There's content. It's a very simple package. It's free. DCP-O-Matic worked very, very well for me. The problem was when I went to play it back, it wasn't playing back in sync in their player. Charlotte Nightstar, the werewolf. Hi, Richard. How are you doing? I think that's my friend from Twin Peaks, the world of Twin Peaks, and David Lynch. I'm pretty sure that's who that is. So I made the DCP. It took a lot longer than DaVinci Resolve. 2 hours and 40 minutes, 45 minutes is our documentary. That includes a intermission. We baked that right into the file. DaVinci Resolve took 40 minutes to make a DCP. DCP-O-Matic took about real time, about 2 hours and 40 minutes, plus or minus. So it took about 4 times longer than DaVinci Resolve. Maybe I'll use DaVinci Resolve if I have more time. I didn't have more time this time, so I used DCP-O-Matic. Affinity just got an update as well. Finally, AI, machine learning selection features like magnetic mask. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I have Affinity. I did have it at one point, but I don't know if I still have it because I use Pixelmator Pro. I'm not sure how that works. It's enough for me. But here's the issue I had with DCP-O-Matic. They have a standalone player, and you can play the DCP package back in their app to check it. Well, the audio and video was out of sync. The audio and video was out of sync by about 6 to 8 frames. So that was a nightmare. Now, here's the interesting thing. The audio and video was out of sync in their player on my Mac Mini and Mac OS Sequoia 15.2. It was out of sync. I had no way of confirming whether, I presumed it was the player, the software player, that was causing that issue. So DaVinci Resolve will play back the DCP package. Bonus. So I put it in DaVinci Resolve and it was in sync. It was fine in DaVinci Resolve. The same package that I was playing in the player. It was in sync all the way through. So I was confident at that point that the file was okay, and it was only the DCP-O-Matic player that was causing the sync issue. I mean, it was just playing back and stuff that was causing the sync issue. And so DaVinci Resolve played it back fine. And when I took my 2021 MacBook Pro and played it back with Mac OS Ventura, with the DCP player, it was in sync. So it was something with the DCP player and Mac OS Sequoia that the sync wasn't good, but it was good in DaVinci Resolve on my Mac Mini, and it was good on the DCP player when I was playing it back in Ventura, so not sure. Curious if you'd like to be interviewed today at 1 p.m. PST on my channel. If your schedule is too much today, let me know at another date, only on a weekend and at that time, though. So another time, because I'll probably be just finishing up this. Another time, Charlotte, that would be fine. That would be fine. We'll make arrangements and go from there. It's about David Lynch, of course. We're both fans of David Lynch. Nothing going on in the backyard very much. Not much going on. So there's not much going on out there. Let's go back to here. Charlotte Nightstar says, okay, cool, looking forward to it. Absolutely, we'll do it another time. I can always start this live stream an hour earlier, so we'll have time to do it. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It's appreciated. So, once again, February. It's like the dog days of summer for Final Cut Pro News, which is what we're talking about here. So, not much happening. Sean says he's using Affinity as well. Very, very cool. I guess Affinity is more for photographs. Is that what the deal is? Photographs. That's what I think. So I got 600,000 views on my YouTube channel, which, like I said, is not that much for a lot of people, but it's a lot. I'm just glad I have that many. I'll be getting 1 million before too long. This is an interesting one. The operation could not be completed. No other information is available about the problem. I wish they would have better pop-ups than something like this. This is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? It's kind of ridiculous. It's really weird. I can see my screen. Like I said, these glasses are supposed to focus at 2 feet, but my screen's 3 feet away. And I can't read the comments. I have to bring them on screen. Hi there from Norway. No sign of spring here. Our friend Torgrim Grimstad. Yeah, thumbnails and photo design. I use it for sign making. Perfect thing. I use Pixelmator Pro for my thumbnails. I use Pixelmator Pro for my thumbnails. Apple have iMovie and Final Cut, GarageBand and Logic Pro, then why not Photos and Pixelmator renamed? I don't know what they're going to do with Pixelmator Pro. I don't think Apple's going to want their own name on whatever they do with that. I hope it continues as a standalone app. I really, really like Pixelmator Pro. I'm not going to update it for the time being. I'm going to keep the version that I have, which is pre-Apple acquisition. So at some point, they'll probably make me update it. I don't know. They didn't rename Final Cut. It was called something else initially before they took it over. Wasn't it Macromedia something or other? I forget what it was. Final Cut's a little bit of a different issue. Final Cut is a little bit of a different issue. So nobody does DCPs except for me and Bradley Olson, I guess. I'm not sure how it's... It was a learning process, but not too bad. Not too bad. I highly recommend DCP-O-Matic, and of course, I have DaVinci Resolve. It's about, like I said, it's about 4 or 5 times faster than DCP-O-Matic, but I didn't have a lot of time. We had to get it to them last week, so I had to just do what was working. DCP-O-Matic, it's free. You can make a donation, which I'm going to do because it's been very, very good for me. I really liked it. My product isn't big enough to need DCP. This is the first time that I've needed the DCP. Now, what happened was we've shown this documentary 2 other times in the last 3 years, but the theater, the Silver Theater in Silver Spring, made everything for us. They made the DCP. All we had to do was deliver them a progress file. The Greenbelt Theater requires a DCP or a Blu-ray. They don't make it. They'll make it, but they wanted to charge a couple $100, and I said, let me look into it. So this is the first time that I've made one. Not that bad. Not that bad. I think there's another step that they have to do to get it on their systems, as far as I can tell. Whoops, that's not what I want. Let's see this. This is Apple at NAB 2018.
They said you can't come in.
That's probably good. Yeah, that's
Step
for the
out
best.
of the line.
I made sure of that.
It's probably for the best, but I'm going to try to sneak in anyway.
Okay.
Richard, got Oliver Peters right here.
Hey, Oliver, how you doing?
Hi. Well, doing good. Tired. Long day.
They said you guys can't come in, so just step out of line, please.
What?
So that was Apple official presentation at NAB in 2018. They presented in 2017 and 2018 in the same place, in the convention center, and they made announcements about how many Final Cut Pro seats were used. You saw the crowds. I'm not sure why they wouldn't continue to do that. You saw the crowds, hundreds and hundreds of people there. It was a free event. It was in the convention center. The Final Cut Pro team was there, the Pro Apps team. They did a great presentation. And why they stopped, they did something in 2019 with Faster Together, but they stopped. That presentation was great. We loved having that. A lot of people there. I wish they would continue. I thought it was changed from Key Grip to Final Cut before they bought. Maybe it was Apple that changed it. Yeah, I think it was Key. You're right. That was it. That's what I was thinking of. I think it was called Key Grip. Yeah, they kept the name. They didn't have anything. Final Cut. First off, Final Cut's a good name. Final Cut Pro is a good name. Final Cut Pro. Everybody has a Final Cut. I have a Final Cut for my documentary. This is Final Cut TV and coffee. So, yeah, very, very, very interesting. Apple, Final Cut Pro team, do something for NAB like that. That was fantastic. Set it up. Regardless, we should be having a feature or two added to Final Cut my guess between now and NAB next year, the Creative Summit in November, which will probably be Final Cut Pro 11.1, if they continue their typical Pro Apps trajectory of naming convention. Could Apple make a bundle with Final Cut Pro, Motion Compressor, Logic Pro, Mainstage Plus, and new photo app? Sure they could. They have it. It's educational bundle. You can get all 5 of those Pro apps for $199. If you're a student, community college, maybe high school, if you're a teacher, if you're in education, you get all 5 Pro apps for $199. If I was buying new today, I would go ahead and take a class, local community college, get it email. I think you need an ede.edu email address in order to get that package. I think that's what it is. I would just take a class, get the educational package. It's fine. Everything's good with it. It doesn't stop working like Adobe's product do. KGP isn't a good abbreviation. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I missed that. I understand the KGB versus KGP. I understand that, but I'm not sure what product you're talking about. So we are on YouTube, Facebook Live, and X Platform Live. Used to be called Periscope. I've been broadcasting there for 4 years, maybe 5 years. A long time I've been broadcasting on X. I get a lot of viewers there. So that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Is there any Final Cut Pro news? Does anybody have anything? Oh, Key Grip Pro. There you go. Now I get it. I didn't know where the KG came from. No, of course, it's Key Grip is not nearly as good as Final Cut. Final Cut is good. Final Cut applies to everybody who works with videos and everybody who works with films, right? At some point, you have a Final Cut. At some point, you have Final Cut. So Final Cut Pro is a very good word. Key Grip Pro, or even Key Grip, is not nearly as good. Not nearly as good. So, any Final Cut Pro news? Anything going on? Once I get a new PC, I will get this program for the filming and video making I want to do in the future. What's the best PC for that? Well, I'm a Mac guy. I don't know about PCs. I've been a Mac guy since I bought my first computer. I've never gone back. PCs I know very little about, and I don't know about, well, video editing software. There's some free stuff. Look, you buy a Mac, you get iMovie for free. You can edit basic videos in iMovie. It's a great program. If you want to step up, you can step up to Final Cut Pro, or you can just use Final Cut for iPad for $5 a month if you wanted to use it on an iPad. Has to be a current iPad, and I would recommend getting LumaFusion if I was editing on an iPad. So it's a learning curve no matter what you use. It's a learning curve no matter what you use. My first computer was an Apple IIe. My first computer was a G3. Was a G3 with Premiere Pro. There was a company in California called Promax, and they would make the computer to your specs or whatever they had, and they would install Premiere on it. So when you got it, you had to turn it on and it's ready to go. That was before Final Cut came out. Okay, I'll look into that for sure. Thanks, Richard. You're welcome. Yeah, look if you have an iPad, whatever, or you can get a base level Mac, and it comes with iMovie free. You can do great stuff with it. It comes with software. So, but I got a G3 from Promax, a beige G3 desktop, not even a tower, beige G3 desktop, and it came with Premiere Pro for the Mac installed, and I think that's all I had. I think that's all I had. This is pre-Final Cut Pro. Now, once I used to edit on Premiere Pro, once they dropped support for the Macintosh, which they did, they went PC only for 18 months or a year. I dropped them. And at the same time, Final Cut Pro came out, so I got Final Cut Pro and never looked back. If Final Cut Pro offer a bundle version, what will be the target price, not a student bundle price? Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. Student bundle. Take a class at a community college. Get your student ID. My first Mac was a Power Mac 7500. I upgraded with the G3 daughter board. Yeah, I got a G3, a beige G3 desktop. I still have it downstairs somewhere. And then I went to a tower, one of the silver, gray towers. All the guts came out of the side. I didn't get the blue Bondi blue one. I got the gray one. And then I got a something and a couple of other towers. And the one tower is still downstairs. I got to get rid of those. I don't need them anymore. I got the one I'm going to keep because it kind of runs my studio, but I don't do much studio work these days. I got a blue and white G3 upgraded to a G4 for Final Cut Pro. There you go. I remember those days. I remember Steve Jobs and the Bondi blue iMac. The first one had FireWire. You can hook your camera directly into it if you had a digital camera in those days and capture your tapes, your mini DV tapes. Pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Now I'm on a M4 Mac Mini, which I absolutely love. It's fantastically powerful. And when I start cooking with this thing, the temperature goes up. What's the temperature right now? It's 149 centigrade, Fahrenheit, I mean. Not bad. Usually it's 120 to 140. Right now it's 149 because I'm running a bunch of programs. But when I do a DCP, it goes up to 200, 205, 210. And I manually turn on the fans. And that brings the temperature down to 180, something like that, while it's doing the DCP. That takes a lot of processor power. Love the Mac Mini, the Mac Mini Pro. It's a hit computer for Apple. It's fantastic. It's powerful. It's small. It's tiny. And I have my 2021 MacBook Pro for when I go on the road and I have to do live streaming. It was when we take fun opening our computer and so proud, but no more, sadly. Yeah, I was taking a computer class at the local community college to get certified as a computer technician. And everybody had their, PCs and motherboards and all that stuff. And I think I brought my tower in, my gray tower. And I said, look, this is the way computers should be made. You have a little thing on the side, you hook it open, and the entire guts just come open and spill there for you. All the cards and PCI slots and RAM, everything in the hard drive. Hard drive, I think, was in the computer, but everything else was just opened up like just a door. It was fantastic. Yeah, can't upgrade just the processor anymore. Yeah, these things are so small and compact nowadays. I wouldn't get that involved with it anyway. Not at this stage. I used to. I mean, I'd change out graphics cards, change out RAM. I would always get, more RAM than what the Apple one. I'd get the higher processor and all that, but I don't do that anymore. This Mac Mini is fantastic. And it's very reasonable. So I also have my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and when the iPhone 17 Pro Max comes out in September, I have this one, the 15, and this is the 16. I have the 16, and I have the 15 Pro Max. I was going to sell the 15 Pro Max because I have my Action 4. I have an Action 5, actually. Where's my Action 5? Somewhere around here, I have my DJI Action 5, which I love. It's a fantastic camera. It's small, compact. I can film with it. It has shoots in log, but I was going to sell my iPhone 15 Pro Max because I got the Action 5, but now I'm keeping the 15 Pro Max, and I'll trade it in when I get the 17, because I'll still get $500, $600 for it, which is what I would sell it for now. So I might as well wait till the 17. And I'm going to, for the time being, keep two the most current iPhones, top levels. I'll have an iPhone 16 Pro Max and an iPhone 17 Pro Max. If there's video improvements like I expect. If there's video improvements like I expect, I'll get the 17. If there's not much video improvements, I won't bother. But usually they do. Usually there are video improvements. Any Final Cut Pro news? Anybody? Anybody? We do want to thank the Final Cut Pro team, Final Cut Pro team, for giving us Final Cut Pro 11.0.1 bug fix. It took you a long time to get there, but you finally got there. I do expect a feature update, 11.0.2, 11.0.3, whatever they make it between now and November, when they update to Final Cut Pro 11.1, probably at the Creative Summit. No guarantees. I'm not saying that I know anything. It's just the pattern seems to be they give us feature update around the Creative Summit. Only 1 year they didn't, which was 2019, which was very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. They did nothing that year, nothing new. Had no idea why, but something happened. That was when they brought out the Mac Pro. Remember the Mac Pro Tower? I had one of those. It was a fantastic machine. It's just big. My Mac Mini Pro, my Mac Mini Pro is more powerful than my 2019 Mac Pro Tower. Luckily, I sold the Mac Pro Tower. I got about 60% of what I paid for it. So I still have that money in an envelope that says Mac Pro on it. I was going to buy a MacBook Pro, but I don't need a MacBook Pro. Loved the hard drive sleds. Absolutely. I love that machine. It was fantastic. I used to keep it over here on my desk. It wasn't that noisy. It wasn't very crowded. It was fine, and it's big, heavy machine. But I sold it, and I'm glad I sold it when I did. I sold it before the M4 or M3, whatever the new Mac Pros came out, about a year before that. Sold it locally. Like I said, I got about 60% of my money back, which I'm grateful for, and I still have that cash for when I buy a new MacBook Pro at some point. But this MacBook Pro is great. The Mac Mini is great. 95% of the time, I'm using a desktop Mac. Even when I have my MacBook Pro, I use it as a desktop 95% of the time. The only time I needed portability is when I go to NAB and the Creative Summit. Still have my Mac Pro 1.1, but it's having problems running. There you go. So, yeah, I like the MacBook Pro a lot. I like the form factor, but I didn't need it. This one's fine for years yet for when I go on the road. I take it because I need to run Ecamm Live. I have an iPad Pro, but I need to run Ecamm Live, and it doesn't run on the iPad. It just doesn't. There's too many connections. I got to connect in a bunch of different things, and audio, Pro Audio, and I got to connect in Pro Camera with a Cam Link 4K and stuff, and you can't do all that stuff on the Mac, on the iPad. Can't do it. So anything else going on? Next week it's supposed to be warm here, so I'm going to probably be out splitting wood. When it warms up into the 50s, I'll go get my log splitter and go out there and split some wood and start stacking up for next winter and the winter after that. Probably. Like I said, I did not update to Final Cut Pro 11.0.1 because I have to finish this film. I'm finished it right now. After we do the showing on a week from Sunday, I'll update at that point because I'm not going to be doing any more editing on this film for 6 months or 8 months, or I may never do any editing again. This version is pretty well honed. We've been editing it for years for the first showing and now this second showing. This is the third showing. This is the third director's cut. So you tell me, is there any Final Cut Pro news? Is there any Final Cut Pro news? Wake up. I don't know of any. I don't know of any Final Cut Pro news. Nothing happening there. Nothing happening there. Well, I'm going to get off here because I have things to do. We've been on almost an hour. And if I don't, well, first off, this is episode 104. This is episode 104, right? 2 years we've been doing these. 52 weeks in a year times 2 is 104. Next week we'll be starting our third year. Third year for Final Cut Pro and TV and Coffee. Thanks to all you for coming in all these Saturdays. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, Richard. Absolutely, Charlotte. No problems. Thank you. No news in Norway other than people shifting to Premiere faster than I like. Yeah, that seems to be going a lot of places that way. So if I don't expect anything to be happening with Final Cut in February, maybe at the end of March, middle of March, they might slip out a feature update. I mean, they could put it out around for NAB. NAB is the first week of April. I haven't decided if I'm going yet. I'll decide in the next few weeks. If you were Apple, was you surprised bang for NAB? Well, I'd have it. I'd try to schedule an update around NAB if I was Apple. If I was the Final Cut Pro team, I'd try to schedule a feature update around NAB because the last 2 years, NAB's been Final Cut Pro dead. There's been no information, nothing going on with Final Cut Pro at NAB. Now, NAB is the biggest pro video audio event of the year worldwide. Why Apple doesn't think that's important to be there, it's amazing. Just do like I showed you, do one of those classrooms, have the Final Cut Pro team do a presentation. It's packed. They always sell, it's free. They always sell out, but you're creating buzz about Final Cut Pro in the community where you want to create buzz. It just doesn't make sense to me that they don't need a big booth on the floor. I'm not talking about spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just team up with FMC, get one of their classrooms. Like that's what that was. It was FMC's classroom. So, or session room, and just do a presentation about the latest things from Final Cut Pro. You saw the crowds. There was hundreds and hundreds of people there. Why they don't do it, I don't know. But anyway, thanks to the Final Cut Pro team. We appreciate each and every one of you. You watch these live streams. We know you do. We appreciate you, but it's just like, you're really, really slow. Everybody knows it. You know it. You've been criticized for it. Slow. It took you 90 days to get 4 bug fixes from 11 to 11.0.1. Now, does that mean you have a bigger update coming out between now and, let's say, June? That would be great. That would be great. Caption generation seems to default to ITT requiring conversion to SRT. That's very interesting. Yeah, I don't do captions. I just do subtitles. I don't do captions. I do subtitles. All right, everyone. I'm going to get out of here. I have things to do. Firewood's already stocked up for the day. If I don't see you during the week, probably won't. I'll see you here next Saturday, 11 or 12, 10 or 11 or 12 next Saturday. Final Cut TV and Coffee. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Well, we got another comment here before we go. For Final Cut Pro, use not having Final Cut Pro NAB makes us lost all interest for NAB. I understand that, but I still want to go to NAB. I go to Blackmagic. Blackmagic's a great company. They got a great DaVinci Resolve is fantastic. They have the biggest exhibition space at NAB. Now, I'm not saying for Apple to do that. That's not what I'm saying. Bye. See you in the trees, as us Twin Peaks fans say. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charlotte. And just do like you did before. Just have a classroom. Get a classroom from FMC and do a presentation. It creates some buzz. Don't you think buzz at Final Cut Pro buzz at NAB is important? Of course it is. It's free publicity. You team up with FMC and put on one of those little sessions. If you need help, I'll give you some help. I'll promote it and get whatever you need. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. We've been on for almost an hour. And if I don't see you before next week, Saturday, 10, 11, 12, something like that, I'll see you then. Final Cut TV and Coffee. Thanks, everyone.